All right.
All right, I'll fix it.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I think we're all over. Welcome to Cursed Words Diablo 4 Demon Slayer Edition.
Oh,
Sorry, it's
jeez.
like
All right.
What the hell?
the D4 Deb slipped me $100 bill for every time I say demon.
Yeah. What if you doubled down on saying demon, huh? KFC, $10 off on your next purchase? Let's go.
The
Can
double
we have
demon.
like some mainstream pop song playing in the background, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
to put it-
Yeah, I actually hired Megan Fox to read out the intro.
Ooh, okay. No objections.
Yeah. This is a little different for us, right? We have only ever really covered PoE. We have, we've touched on D4 here and there, when it was getting developed and there was updates here and there, the betas, the server slams, whatever they may be. But this is the full-fledged. There's a lot to discuss here. I feel like there's a lot of topics within D4. We were discussing this a little bit offline just to give you guys chat, like a little bit of context. And I was saying it's kind of like whenever we're talking about PoE, we never are like, hey, like, what's the deal with mapping, huh? It's always like we're talking about a lot of like the stuff that's being added on top, but we never really break it down. But because it's a brand new game, there's a lot to break down. So I figure let's start off just very broad. How much have you guys been playing? What are you playing? What classes, builds, etc. Levels. So let's start there. Lolcohol, you want to kick us off?
All right, I am playing a fire and ice meteor sorceress. Everyone says it's cringe. It's really fun, but I don't know. Everyone says there are 3 good sorceress builds, and if you're not playing it, you're playing the wrong build. So we'll get into that later. How much have I played? I don't know. Is there a / played?
I don't know.
What level are you? That's a good.
Yeah, what level are you?
74.
Okay.
So I'm kind of casual.
A little bit of a cash.
Can you check
okay.
playtime on Battle.net?
You can log into
I
a
don't think so.
third-party tool that tells you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like armory.io,
Well,
I think.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm like a hardcore casual, I suppose. I have a job and friends, so like
Cringe.
I can't go too
Ooh.
hard.
Cringe.
Okay, I don't have friends, but I do have a job anyway.
I thought I had friends.
Yeah, don't lie to us.
Yeah. All right, that's me. Who's next? Omicid?
Opposite.
Sure.
Yep.
I am a level 75 barb. That's so
What?
awkward
Oh, you're
for
dominating
you.
all
So
alcohol. I
awkward.
see.
Oh my god, cringe.
Oh god, it just builds up. Meet me in whatever that place
Emasculated.
is, and yeah, time to take you down. But yeah, I haven't had, I've had some friends staying with me for the last like week or so, so I haven't had time to play this week. But yeah, I've been playing Whirlwind Barb. Sorry.
Fucking disgusting. Get outta
And
here.
yeah, so yeah, I'm level 75. I have made a druid, but I have not touched the druid yet. I haven't like leveled at all. I just like made the character. So I've been, I guess, limited scope in terms of the build.
Okay.
Pal?
I started with Sork. First, I wanted to do Arc Lash, then that got nerfed on day 2. Then I did Ice Shards, which was pretty solid, but I played duo with a friend of mine, and he was rogue and completely out DPSing me. Like it's so crazy. It's like later he was even like tankier than me with the shadows and stuff. So I rerolled, and we both rerolled into Druid. We went double Druid, and it was completely insane. It was like playing a different game to a Sork, basically.
Pulverize or something else? Pulverize or something else?
Whatever you want, right? Like Druid has
Yeah.
like 5 builds or something that are good, but
Right.
I wanted to farm for the Tornado build, which I got the helmet at like level 85 or something. You need a certain unique helmet. And
Yeah.
until then I was like Trample Slide. I don't know if you guys ever saw that build. It's
I
like
did.
screen wide AoE. That shit's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a completely different game from like Sork trying to like I don't know, like the direction of the ice shards and then it ricochets a little bit. No. Druid is like full on screen clear. It's crazy. And yeah, I would level to 99 and then I completely lost interest. Basically.
in the game or
99.
the
Wow.
class?
No, the game.
Oh.
The class is fun and all. I couldn't motivate myself. I don't know.
I mean, 99's big.
And that'll be, I think that's a big discussion point you're touching on there, but we'll get there. Anyway, sub?
Yeah, I am playing the weakest class in the game, which is I stuck with Ice Shard Sork.
Yeah.
And yep. And if you see my videos, I'm basically just like I'm sitting here trying to like racking my brain with every combination of every Paragon board, every glyph, every aspect. Like I literally change probably 2 or 3 aspects a day, trying every little combination. Like Sork is just underpowered, and you have to like You have to like wombo the shit out of everything that you have just to actually kill all the monsters on the screen. With that said, it is very satisfying to play, but like, you know, I am pushing, you know, I'm like, the highest I think I've done is like a 66, 67 nightmare dungeon, and like I'm trying really, really hard here. And you see like, you know, you see a barber or druid just absolutely, you know, shitting on 70, 80 plus if they want to. And yeah, and then I saw the clip of like, I getting into the weeds. I saw a clip of Rax doing the Uber Lilith and doing 8 million damage ticks with his poison and stuff. I'm just like, I'm crating for 300k. Like, why is this so different? Anyway, yeah, I'm sticking with Ice Shard Sork. I'll be level 90 in just a little bit. I'm like two dungeons from level 90. Yep. So that's that's it so far.
So diving in, I mean, a little bit even further there, right? So builds, and you guys are kind of touching on this. Build diversity feels to me like it's very much in a mixed bag place. It's kind of almost like all of the build archetypes are cookie cutter pastes of themselves. You know, like resource generator, ultimate, a couple cooldowns, main ability. It's kind of like everything is a reskin. I mean, have you guys considered playing alts? I know, Pal, you said you did the swap, but I guess what was that like, that experience? The alt switch.
Well, the reason I played an alt was because Sork was too weak for. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have gone on with Sork if I was solo because I didn't really know as much like what's good and what's bad, or what does good even feel like in this game, right? But having a duo partner and them like absolutely shitting on me, I was just like, oh, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
But in terms of like build diversity, I would say it just has less layers. I think there is not a single Paragon board out there that's like in any shape or form min-maxed. So that's interesting, right? There's definitely layers where you can customize, but I don't think that's what Diablo 4 is for. Otherwise, they would have made more skills. And I think one of the biggest problems is every skill has only one way to play it. At least it feels like it, right? Unless we're talking min-maxing and like, okay, maybe I use this legendary aspect instead of that. There's definitely a little bit of leeway there. But if you think about it, if I say tornado, you know what's going to happen, right? If I say whirlwind barb, you know what that is, right? In PoE, with damage conversion and different scaling methods and like fire skills being able to be poisoned and stuff like that, you have no idea if I just tell you straight up what I'm playing, right? Even the most basic builds like seismic trap, like are you cold, are you fizz, are you poison? It's like that goes so deep. But in terms of build diversity from what we are expecting as PoE players, I mean, it can't hold a candle. I think D4 has a lot of other good stuff though, so like I guess we're gonna go into that as well.
I feel like D4 is very much building on class identity rather than like build diversity.
Oh yeah. That's just frustrating because, like you said, right?
Sure.
It's like I don't want to play a cookie cutter build if I already seen 10 other people. But Diablo 4 is more about the grind and playing than theory crafting, which is not really for me. But I think that's really good for like 90+% of the player base. So I think Diablo 4 has the formula right there, and they're going to expand a little bit on it, right? But I think for mainstream success.
Because I've been wondering if I must even do a build guide for my build, because I haven't seen the context of what sorcerers are able to do, but you guys are saying sorcerers are the worst class, and the best class of sorcerer can't compete with like a druid, and I'm playing an off-meta sorceress. Now in PoE, that kind of makes, you can kind of get away with that because of the economy, right? We don't have to touch on the economy now, but I could play some like slightly off-meta janky thing, just because I know that I'm going to be able to get all my uniques super cheap. I'm going to be able to get all my rares very easily and stuff like that. But in this game, what is the incentive to play something off meta other than just it's fun?
Not really anything.
I think that's it.
There's nothing really. Yeah, it's
it.
just fun. So like, should I release a build guide for a build that I'm like, it's fun? Or are people going to be like, this is cringe?
Yeah,
you also got to remember. You also got to remember that like more than 10 times the people are playing this game than PoE, right? It's like crazy amounts. So obviously there's not going to be any stone unturned, right? As well.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah,
It's just, I mean, just the quantity of skills is also just so much lower. It's like infinitesimally lower, it feels like. So
yeah. So like for the example that I would say is like I was like I was saying, I went really hard in the past like week and a half of trying everything that I could to make the build better. and doing all sorts of weird shit. Like, okay, maybe I don't use the Firebolt enchant. I'll use Hydra to get the burn, and then like maybe I can do something else to amplify my damage. And like the thing is, at the end of the day, yeah, it really ends up converging. Like you're just like, oh, okay, like no, I really need the consistent burn damage for the damage reduction and like it's like you can do kind of weird stuff, but especially there's only so many ways that you're gonna scale, right? Like there's one aspect for Sork that is the 35% more damage when stunned, frozen, or immobilized. And that is like the only way to scale good damage on Sork, really. And then combining that with the burning passive, that's an additional 150% damage if you get a level 6 one. And like those two are like mandatory in literally every single Sork build if you want to do more than, you know, enough damage to actually kill a monster in like, you know, higher level dungeons. So like, yeah, at the end of the day, you're just gonna everything is just gonna kind of converge, and it's about like, okay, yeah, now we're just kind of grinding and just trying to like get the better gear.
Yeah, I mean, on that convergence point, it's like the barb. It's like every barb build is using 3 shouts and an ultimate and a recharge, you know, resource regenerator, and then whatever their main skill is. It's like you can play an off meta version of that, but like because the resource regeneration, at least on barb, feels so bad that it's like you have to play 3 shouts with the exact same affixes that generate, you know, fury, and it's just kind of like what is this, you know?
Yeah, I guess the way I would say it is, in Diablo 4, most good players come to exactly the same conclusions about builds, whereas in PoE, I see people who I respect have completely differing opinions to me, right? It's like, it's so vast, there's so many variables that you just you can't really pinpoint to the right answer, right? And in this game, it's obviously a lot easier. But I mean, to throw that in there as well, for people who are maybe a little bit pissed the way we talk about D4. D4 just came out, right? It's not even in season 1, so I think for a baseline game, I think there's a lot of promise, honestly.
Yeah,
absolutely. I guess let's diving into some of those more specific pieces of good and bad, right? I think well, maybe not the number one, but a large thing that has come up. I've been scouring the Reddit. I've been watching. I'm tapped in to the scene, I feel like, and level scaling, I think, is one that has gotten pretty. You know, it's sparked a lot of conversation. I'll say that. So I guess what are your guys' thoughts on that? I know there's been a lot of good and bad, right? Positives and negatives there, but what do you guys think?
I don't think it matters.
You don't think it matters?
I don't think it matters at all. I don't think it remotely matters. Because yeah, like it feels bad, right? While you're leveling and you can't go back to the older zones and da da da. So like I hated it. Like I hate level scaling in a single player RPG. I think it's literally the worst thing you can do. And like I hate Elder Scrolls games after they added level scaling. But in this experience, the way that I think about the game is the level scaling is just like, as soon as you get to like level 60-ish, you're just always blowing up all the monsters anyway in the open world. And what level scaling does is it means that when you're in the open world, you're at least able to get decent XP and, you know, acceptable amount of loot as you're doing the open world stuff. And they just, if there wasn't level scaling, right, most of the open world would be shit, right? When you're higher level, it'd be worthless. And like level scaling isn't part of the actual end, like the real end game content, like the nightmare dungeons, because that is just, you are picking the monster level, and that is actually the scaler for your difficulty. And I'm killing level 110, 115 monsters at level 90 and blowing them up like pretty easily. Like I think they could just hide the number. They could actually just hide the monster level from you, and you know they could just have like a difficulty slider or something, and it could just look like that. And then just like when you're in the open world, it could just be like, hey, this is a neutral monster, and they're just neutral monsters, and they can get loot, and you wouldn't even notice. So yeah, I was originally like, it feels bad, I hate it. But the more I thought about it, I was like, I actually don't know if they could make this game without level scaling if they wanted the open world to have value. Anyway.
Okay. So the Nightmare Sigils scale like maps almost?
Every Nightmare level is +1 level of the monster.
Okay. All right. Okay. That makes sense. Because the only thing I was going to say is maybe I didn't really notice it while leveling. It was actually kind of cool while leveling because I could, you know, play with your buddy, even if they're a different level. But in terms of build diversity, like maybe there would be a lower level how do I put it? So let's say there's a strat that is kind of fun and efficient, but it's a very specific type of thing. Like let's say Legion farming, right? In Diablo 4, and there's a specific build that is trash at everything except that. If everything scales, you can't really play that build to do that strat. But I don't know if this is really a one-to-one.
aren't
Does that make
strats in this
sense?
game.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
not
There's
strats.
nothing like that.
It's
Yeah.
just maps, right?
Yeah. Well,
There's no like
so
bossing scenario.
I guess I thought about this a lot. I even wanted to make a video about it, but I just ended up like discarding it. So Power Fantasy, I think we are getting it kind of twisted. I think that PoE is an outlier when it comes to Power Fantasy, right? I think there's no game like PoE, or very little games like PoE, where you start off as a fucking snail, right? And then you get into 10-second strands, right? Like, I don't think there's like any other game like that. So if we're judging it from a PoE player's perspective, Diablo 4's level scaling is terrible, right? It's like the worst. If we're judging it from like a normal place, I think it's pretty much on brand. It's pretty much whatever, right? That's how most even ARPGs feel, right? But the problem is that not that you're feeling weaker per level, but you're not really feeling stronger. There's not these scalars like, for example, right, in PoE, what makes your build feel stronger? GMP, right? All of a sudden, instead of 3 projectiles, you have 7. That makes me feel like a god, right? AoE. There's literally, Sork has like AoE, 20%. That's it. I haven't seen much AoE besides that, maybe like a rune here or there, but there's no like item affix that gives you AoE or anything like that, right? Projectile speed, movement speed is capped, right? Attack speed is capped. You don't have many sources of attack speed. Attack speed makes you feel like your build is getting stronger. So it's not really about like being strong versus the mobs and having that power fantasy. It's about feeling what you're doing on screen is different from level to level. And you don't have that, right? At level 50, my druid build looks the same on level 50 as it looks on level 100. Exactly the same. And that is, I think, I don't know if that's an issue. It's just something I miss from PoE, if that makes sense.
I think it's only an issue when the gameplay loop to get to 50 from 50 to 100 is completely linear, and like there's no variation, right? Which is kind of like the way it's set up right now, where you enter, you're doing World Tier 3 probably around 50. You enter World Tier 4 maybe like 60, somewhere between 60 and 65 for most people. And the only difference between those things is the sigil tier. There's like no differences otherwise. Like the gameplay loop is exactly the same. You have ancestral and sacred gear, which is just juiced versions of the same shit.
Yeah.
But like the gameplay loop is exactly the same. There's no variation.
Yeah, you're touching on a good point as well, right? It's not just that you feel stronger with like GMP, AoE, prot speeds, but also you have way more density the higher you go. You're like, okay, now I'm 100% deli and stuff like that. And in this game, while it does ramp up a little bit, it's like almost not noticeable.
Yeah, and maybe we are kind of like verging on this as well and nail it right now. Is like the grinding, in my opinion, is extremely clunky. It is just like I don't care about the experience that the mobs give. I literally could care less. Like I don't understand why people are so honed in on XP per hour. It's like it doesn't matter. like if you take, even if every single mob and you went mob to mob to mob was 1,000,000 XP, but I had to do what I'm doing right now and just like walk around like looking for the next pack. It's shit. It just feels like shit. It's like it could give 1,000,000,000 XP and I still don't care. Like it just feels bad. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
It kind of feels bad when you're like a cooldown class and you're like, oh, there's 5 mobs here. I guess I can't kill them. Let's wait for the next elite, right? And it's like you're just like it just feels bad in a cooldown based game to have that little mobs. I don't know.
And they're just like stuck on it. I feel like they've been, quote, evening out a lot of the dungeons to make them more comparable to each other. But I don't understand why this is not being addressed soon, because they did the campfire chat, what was that, Friday? So they touched on it a little, and I think they kind of are.
Chat? Oh yeah, I love s'mores.
The s'mores chat. The s'mores chat. Lot of cookie eating. Listen, I'm a cookie guy. I get it. But I feel like they just I don't think they realize the level, the magnitude of this problem.
I actually think that they did pretty well on that. I don't know, like they didn't
Generally
address that
speaking.
issue, but they did address like a lot of my main issues. I'll say that. But I guess I have a
Sure.
very different. I probably have a very different viewpoint of D4 than you. My D4 viewpoint is actually very positive, and that's mostly because my expectations after the beta were like rock bottom, and I'm actually enjoying the game, and I'm like, that's odd, right? So I guess that's like different.
Yeah, I feel like the game was peak fun for me going until about level 50. And then I've just been like, what am I doing here? Kind of thing.
Oh.
It's like I don't understand. Maybe you guys can give me some perspective on this, but I'm not clear on why I'm playing the game. Like, what am I grinding for? Like these
The hamster
tiny
wheel
upgrades.
the hamster wheel's been revealed too soon, right? With PoE,
Yeah.
it's so hidden. It's so hidden before you get to that point where you're like, I'm mapping to get currency to map faster, to get currency to map faster. But there's so many things in between, like different things you can do. You can boss, you can delve, you can do all this stuff. So you don't really notice that unless you're playing way too much. But in this, it's like I'm doing dungeons so I can get upgrades, so I can do nightmare dungeons, so I can get upgrades. It's like there's not enough stuff
Well,
hiding
I mean,
hiding the behind the scenes mechanics of why you're playing the game almost.
I mean, you also do like hell tides and stuff, right? You do,
Yeah.
you can do different things, but it's like, I guess once you understand the itemization, it gets a lot more fun because then it's like,
Mm.
okay, I have an inventory of items, and in PoE I wouldn't even pick this shit up, right? It's like
Mm.
it doesn't give me any gold,
Totally.
and it doesn't like there's never going to be an upgrade there. But once you realize that, I'm actually pretty hyped. Like whenever I go back to town, I have a full inventory of ancestrals. I'm like, there might be an upgrade here, right?
Yeah,
Like
there
you look
might be.
through, the faster you get with that, the less clunky it is, right? Then you go back and grind. It's like that's that's a pretty typical ARPG experience. And since the game just came out, I mean, right now you can farm for Uber Lilith, right, which is insanely hard to do,
Mm.
and very random as well. So I think there is definitely stuff to do. It's just not as apparent. But it isn't in PoE as well, right? In PoE, it's only apparent to you because you played a lot. It's like
Exactly.
I get this question a lot. It's like I completed the campaign. What the hell am I supposed to do? Right? It's like you hear that all the time from PoE players as well. So I think yeah, I think Diablo is doing okay on that. It just needs a little bit of time in the oven, I think.
Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe we kind of skipped over it, but what's everyone's overall impression? Because mine is, I think, similar to you, Palsteron, where I was like, I wasn't expecting a lot. I was expecting it to be all right, but it's exceeded my expectations in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. There are a lot of problems and stuff, but from a baseline, I think this is really a very, very hopeful state for the game, that it's released like this, and that they're planning on kind of hopefully matching PoE's pace of progression. So I'm expecting, I mean, I'm having fun now. Hopefully in a year or 2 years, it's just going to be such a good game. So anything negative we're saying here
What
for
are
anyone
your
in chat, like, yeah.
what are
Overall.
your guys' like ratings out of 10? Let's start there.
Ooh. I'll probably give like a 7.5 out of 10 at this point, but I can easily see it becoming like a 9. But
What do
also
you
I haven't
give? What do you give like PoE for comparison?
like a 10. It's the best game. No, PoE like a 9.5.
Depends when, right? Like
9.8.
Sentinel
Yeah.
PoE or Lake of Kalandra
Yeah.
PoE, right?
Okay.
It's like,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
True. I don't know. What
Yeah.
about you guys?
how about you, Mr.
I'm at like a 6.
A
A 6 out
6?
of 10. I would
Okay.
say. When I hit the end of the campaign, I was riding like an 8, 8.5 maybe. I was
Oh,
like, damn,
shit.
this is fun. Like barb leveling was a little clunky, but I was like, I can get over it because I feel like there's like this. I didn't understand the end game at this stage. Like I didn't know what that looked like because again I went in pretty blind. So I went in being like, oh, there's like this whole world's gonna open up, and then ever since then it's just kind of like dropped off to where it is now for a 6 for me.
Oh.
Yeah. For me, it's a 6.5 right now. I think it's really, really promising. It needs a lot of work, but yeah, for me, a 6.5 is really good. Like when I think about how Diablo 3 panned out, and like after the beta, the game, like the beta for me felt like a 2.5 roundabout.
Wow.
Like I absolutely, like I thought it was so. I don't know who the hell approved what they were doing there, and I know that a lot of people feel different about it. A lot of people actually hyped after the beta, but for me, it was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is Diablo 4. Whereas once you like present the whole game, it kind of makes sense, right? So for me, it's a 6.5. I think it's gonna only get better, and it can definitely be in. I think it can be an 8. I think.
I'd agree with that. Seb, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. From the beta, I was like depressed how bad the beta was. Like,
Yep.
I think Act 1 is the worst part about the game too. Like, a lot about Act 1 is really dry and uninteresting, and yeah, nothing that's interesting about the game shows up until like maybe Act 3-ish.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think if you're playing, this is how I differentiate it, is if you're playing alone, I think the game's a 6-ish. Which is like, to me, 6 is solid, is like good. That's a playable game. It's worth buying if you like it. But like, this is the big thing that I've been saying, is this is the only game since PUBG that a lot of my friends have come back. I'm older. I'm gonna be 41 this year, and PUBG is the last time that a lot of friends have been online and playing the same game. And I know I see them
So
online.
true.
I can say people are sending me messages like, "Hey, I see you're playing Diablo. Like, what's up? Haven't talked in a long time." And as you get older, fewer and fewer of your friends are going to be around, and especially playing games and all that. And the joy that I've had playing Diablo 4 with my friends that are coming back, and like what I think possibly like one of the most fun ARPG experiences I've ever had, is doing Helltides with a full group of friends. Like, you got helltides.com open, and okay, shit, all right, the hour's about to reset. Okay, everyone get their 175. We're going up to the upper left. We're gonna open that gift of mysteries, and then all right,
Yep.
and then we're gonna spread out. 2 people are gonna go bottom, 2 people are gonna go top, and then we're gonna meet in the middle, and then we're gonna hit the chest. And like, that is such a cool, fun social experience. The world bosses are super lame, but the idea is really good.
Yep.
And if they tune the world bosses properly, and they made Helltides, they could beef up Helltides a little bit more, make it more like Marvel Heroes. They could do a little bit more of like a Midtown Madness type of thing, where it's more of a just like, all right, we're all farming together. Like, you see like global mini bosses walking around, and people can like converge on them.
Mm.
And like, there's that one shitty Helltides mini boss that drops like 5 shards, which is so trash. But like, doing things like that and really beefing it up and make it feel like an alive world, that like, it's an ARPG. You can do the ARPG flow, but you get the value of actually being able to play with other people. And that's actually like what I thought. Like, PoE, I love the depth and all that, but the game is aggressively antisocial.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's your curse limit? 1? Oh, you're doing fire damage, I'm doing chaos damage. Get out of my party. We can't even play together. Like, and not to mention different movement speed and whatever, right? Like, the game is aggressively antisocial. And yeah, just having a game where my friends, like, we blasted like Nightmare Dungeons one night, and then just going back and forth with Helltides. It, like, for me, I'm looking at it so differently, that it like, for a social experience and having friends play, I'm not doing it for the depth of like an ARPG, like opening up a billion spreadsheets. I'm doing it for like, I'm just playing with the boys, Friday night, crack a beer, playing with the boys. And I think it's a 9 out of 10 for that. Like, if you're like, you get that good social experience. Granted, the game is so fucking flawed, but the social experience is so good. It's a 6 out of 10, but it's elevated, with your friends, and a lot of potential, but they could pull a blizzard. So yeah, I'm having a ton of fun.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that for sure. Yeah, game's
the
a lot
group
more fun in the
gameplay
party.
is
Yeah.
the group
Yeah.
gameplay thing is they completely excel at that, especially compared to just any other ARPG, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just way
They
better.
do
Also,
need
the
a-
performance and how smooth
Yeah.
it feels, like, it feels so good. That is definitely
Yeah,
a great
absolutely.
point. Yeah.
They do need to add some more social features like hubs, or just like finding groups and stuff. But just like, there's been a couple of times where I'm doing a Helltide and I bump into a dude, and I do the little hello emote, and they like hi, and then we join party, and it's so much fun just playing with a total stranger. Or like Omicid, we played some dungeons together with
Yeah, it was fun.
Guitaraholic. That was super fun, except for the thing that Palsteron mentioned earlier, which was you play with your buddy, you see their build, and you're like, oh shit.
Oh
That
yeah.
build sucks.
Holy. Yeah.
So I've been kind of on a blackout in terms of builds, and I'm having fun, but I have no context, and I'm so scared that I'm gonna watch some Ice Shard shit and be like, oh no, oh no, this build sucks. But
Do you have
okay,
a Raiment to the
I'm
Infinite?
I do.
Okay,
Is that a
you
good
should play Ice
thing?
Shards.
No, but I'm using. Okay, wait. So I'm doing Meteor. So I use Ice over Meteor and the Shatter passive. So I raiment them, I Ice over them, and I drop meteors on them, and then they all go.
So
and it creates
that's
like a
the same
chain
foundation.
reaction.
Yeah. So that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like you even you're trying to do some weird off meta stuff, and what you just described is 75% of the Ice Shards build. You're literally already doing the same thing. Like there's you rain it in, you have Shatter, you have Meteor. You use Meteor in Ice Shards as well for reference. Like
wait, what?
Yes, literally the only real
no.
difference. The only real difference is you use the Ice Shards passive. So then that is automatically going off on the frozen monsters, which will then proc more explosions. But yeah, you're already doing half the build.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's
so
no
this is what
originality.
Palsteron- Oh, I thought I
Admitted.
was. Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
I
Okay,
actually
sure.
cut the meteor because meteor feels so damn clunky. It's crazy.
I
know
cut
it's
it,
really
but now
good
that
for
I'm
the
pushing-
mobilize, but
Yeah. I cut it, now I
Like-
put it back in.
no, I cut it because like on bosses you don't get the immobilize anyways, and on elites, like until they fall down, the elite should be dead, or the build sucks kind of
Yep.
deal. So I never understood meteor, so I just cut it immediately.
Wait, are you guys manually casting or using the lucky hit proc?
Oh, you have to manually cast it. But
Okay.
Yeah, you,
Or-
you
wait,
can't
so
have
I'm-
that proc. It's
What the fuck? Then I'm just playing the same thing everyone is. I guess this is what Palsteron was saying, is that people end up coming to the same conclusion.
of course.
And I thought I was like playing some weird off meta shit, and I just I'm not. I'm probably just
There's
playing
not the
worst
tools for
thing.
that. There's not the tools for that. Like people, I think Diablo is like, or Diablo 4 is a really good game for people who like to play and grind.
Yes.
And I don't think it's a good game for theory crafters. I think if you're
Yeah.
a theory crafter, you're gonna be lost in this game. Like even the Paragon board, I don't want to go too deep into it because people they don't care about it. But it's like, holy shit, is it like cookie cutter at baseline as well? Like compared to the PoE passive tree, it is very cookie cutter, right? And that's like their end game system, which it's still better than nothing. I'm just saying from a theory crafter perspective, like this game is not going to satisfy your, I don't know, intellectual needs or whatever you call that stuff, right? But then again, who cares? It doesn't matter. That's like such a niche thing that D4 just is really good on so many levels that people actually care about, right?
Exactly. It's so fun just playing the game. I haven't opened up a build guide. I haven't opened up POB. I haven't looked up a guide. I'm just playing the build, and my build feels fun. I'm not. I mean, I love sitting in POB, but it can be stressful when you keep testing a build, testing another build. Oh, that one sucks. That one sucks. And you're like, fuck, man, I just want to play the game, but everything I'm trying sucks. And this is just like, you just get in and play. I could re-roll a rogue and probably I'll end up playing the same thing as everyone else, but I'll have fun. So it's a different game.
Yeah, I think thinking about it through different lenses is the right approach. It's
Yeah.
Trying to like constantly cross compare it to PoE is probably not going to improve your enjoyment just because it's.
I think it's a good break from PoE for me at least.
On that note, though, I do think there are things, a lot of things that they should have learned from PoE that they did not. Map overlay.
What the fuck, dude?
That'll
From
never
Diablo
happen.
1. Diablo 1 had that.
Diablo 3 removed it. It's been gone since Diablo 3.
Yeah.
I don't even miss it that much. I don't know why. I missed it
really?
way more in like Torchlight, but in this game, this game isn't that fast paced. It feels like it's fine. In other games like PoE or Torchlight, if you don't have a map overlay, you feel like you're a toddler. In this game, it's like it's okay. Everything also looks cool, so it's kind of cool to look at stuff. I kind of feel like okay about it.
That's
also.
fair. You are going a lot slower.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
The
PoE
one
just
thing
hit a
that
wall.
Yeah, in PoE, you're looking
Just
up
run
and you
into
hit
a
a wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're at the end of Strand. Yeah.
Yep.
On that note, though, like when you get on your horse and you need to get from point A to point B.
Oh, and you go slower
and
than
I'm-
walking? Yeah.
And you go slower than walking, and you're colliding with every single thing, and your mount cooldowns
This
are
is
off.
so bad.
Literally the worst
The
horse
mount-
ever implemented in any video game. It actually
Wait.
is.
100%
It
agree.
actually is.
Dude, did you guys
Whoa.
have that transition as well where after Act 3 you're like, this is horse, yes, finally. And then at some point you get some movement speed on your character and you're like, what the, wait, do I get customization for this horse? Because it's getting really slow.
Why
right?
am
Do
I
you know
mounting
that-
up? Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
that the speed of your horse is affected by the distance of your cursor on
Yep.
your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all,
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, because I played the whole game on controller, so I didn't know that. But I heard there were a lot of people like, "Why the fuck's my horse so slow?" Because they play with their cursor closed.
Yep.
The horse was built to actively infuriate me. I think this is the conclusion
yeah.
I've come to.
And
It's
those
just
little
like,
barricades.
it's so annoying.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah, the barricades are made
like
just to irritate
Immersion.
you. Yeah.
It's immersion.
immersion.
I've been immersed by the skeletons blocking me from going anywhere. I don't I had this like weird thing. I don't know if this is a bug or not. It's very off topic, but like on the immersion note, my character when they're wearing a helmet, their voice is muffled. Did you
Is
guys
it
notice
really?
this? Yes. I don't know if this is a bug. It's when you're in town, it doesn't happen, but when you're just like walking around, it sounds like he's underwater, and I'm like, I'm gonna turn dialogue off if I have to hear this again.
Yeah, I was just saying, why do you have?
Yeah, I
what the
turned off
hell?
voice lines on day one.
Oh man, I'm immersed. I'm in.
The
I only
Not
turned
enough
music is
music on a
crazy.
week
enough
ago.
The
resource.
music
Not-
is the music is crazy good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know if it's crazy good in my opinion, but I liked it.
I love it.
I
It's okay.
didn't mind it.
it's
It's
really
very
really good.
fitting. I'll say it's very fitting. It matches, but it grew on me, but I still feel like it's it's like deliberately inoffensive.
Yeah.
And there's no like motifs and themes
don't
that
know.
carry on from area to area. And like, okay, look, I know I have to talk about Diablo 2. Diablo 2, the music is so excellent. And if you're a music nerd and you listen to it, it's got all these themes, even PoE, man. It's got like these little melodies
It was great
that
music.
are played in different contexts, in different areas, on different instruments at different tempos and stuff. That I love that. And but the D4 music, it's excellent. It's excellent atmospheric music, but there's no melody, there's no hooks. Like I can't really remember any of it. Kyovashad's music, that's awesome, and the swamp area. Anyway, this is a bit off topic.
I guess you're seeing it more of like a standalone track kind of nature. I just see it as sort of how it fits into the game. And I just
okay.
like the first 3
Yeah.
days I had music on, like the in-game music on, and I actually really liked. I really
You like
enjoyed
it? Okay. Yeah, no, it matches.
But I'm not a music
visually.
guy, so
Yeah,
yeah.
but it matches visually and sonically perfectly. I'll give it that. I will give it that. I just
Alright.
wish there were some melodies.
I did
Gotta,
turn it off after a while, but I enjoyed it for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So.
Yeah, man. I bet you guys can all sing the intro music for PoE when you log in, right?
Should we do it right now? A live
Yeah.
rendition?
Okay, 3, 2.
Palsteron's about to disconnect.
Kiwi has
I was
an
the
intro
only one.
music. Wait,
Oh no, you guys
PoE
didn't
music.
listen to
What?
it.
is it DNB liquid mix?
Yeah.
Electricity mix?
No.
Is that the intro?
Oh, the PoE music's so good.
Is it the latest noise? Is it the last noisiest set from 2021?
Disgusting. If you guys do that for PoE 2, I'm unsubscribing.
I mean, I
You
turn on.
have to
I do
listen.
do the PoE music
Do
for
it.
boss fights because it makes it really epic. Like
Yeah, it
the boss
does.
fight music's so
Yeah.
good, but
Yeah.
yeah, I find it really
Yeah, it is.
distracting in my hideout or even while mapping.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I honestly just turned it off because it's like I don't know. It's like if I want to clip something or something's going on, it's like I don't want like an instant cut into like the middle of a song. That was the biggest thing for me.
Huh.
But
I wonder if there's like a social experiment we can do, because I find any other music too distracting. If I'm listening to music with words or too intense, like my brain focuses on the music more than anything. Whereas I like the kind of
I think that's you
blend.
as a musician, you know?
maybe
You're just like diving
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
'Cause I definitely do not have that problem personally.
Okay.
So I guess on the note of comparing PoE and D4, this is top tier transition, top tier. What are your
Nice.
guys' thoughts on the trading in Diablo 4, aka no trading? For me, just to kick us off,
Oh, there's
that
trading.
is
There's a whole
trading.
economy.
I traded.
Really?
Yeah.
Like,
where are
all-
you guys trading?
Almost all
Oh,
my
you-
GG
yeah.
items are traded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Where are
have
you guys
no
trading?
idea how. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Okay,
a whole.
this is news to me.
You're
Then.
out
There's
there,
a
my man.
TFT. There's the sanctuary. You go into the Diablo 4 sanctuary, which is the same as TFT basically, and you can set up buy orders for your stuff, and then you add someone as a friend. I have never done it, but you add someone as a friend, and yeah, you can sell things for like 10 million gold,
Interesting.
and yeah, that's why MP has
Have
a
you guys
billion
traded anything?
No, I've never
Yeah,
tried. I'm SSF, I guess, but
I have a GG Emmy with CDR, move speed plus free to a crazy skill, and a damage reduction while fortified. And I bought it for
Interesting.
25 mil gold. Yeah. It was fucking crazy.
Interesting.
Like, like you can buy GG items and you farm like gold for 3 to 4 hours, and you can buy an almost GG item from the Diablo. Maybe I just got lucky, but Druid is a pretty like a lot of people play Druid, so yeah, it's like it was pretty easy. Just nobody trades. It's crazy.
The trading, it's in general. I mean, just like the concept of trading is kind of a little bit weird in D4, just because you're dropping like quote personalized loot, right? You know, you can't like a barb. Besides the bug with druids where they're dropping barb uniques, is they're dropping gear for your class, which is also kind of puts alts in a weird spot where you basically start from square one. Besides the gold that you have, and the other
there's
resources,
still pieces
right?
that you can swap over, right? And also rings and stuff.
There's some generic overlap. Yeah.
Like I've on my Druid, I've sold what's it, Resource Gen, because Resource Gen sucks on Druid, but it's really good on Barb, right? So actually, you can sell that or trade with your party members and stuff like that. Yeah.
Sure. I guess it's more like uniques, legendaries, things like that.
Sure. Well, you can't trade those anyways. You can't trade legendaries.
But they're account bound.
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah. Sorry, I was talking about the alt thing. But yes, you're right. You can't trade those things. This is interesting.
This is interesting. Oh no!
Oh my god!
I mean, the intro text was a lead off into me not clicking the link.
Holy shit!
Thanks. All right.
Spider coming in with the AI art of us as Lilith. Nice.
Oh man.
Misc is hot. I'll just take that one as a soundbite.
We got our thumbnail already. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
What
are
we talking about?
Excellent. We're I think we're talking about level scaling. No.
Trading.
Trading.
The other thing that's cringe about trading is that it's items you find are attached to your level. So there's no like, what the fuck? If you're level 100, isn't everything you find just level 100, and now you cannot trade it except to level 100s? Why is that a thing?
I saw something as well. Somebody had like a really good leveling. I think it was Woody had a really good leveling ring, and he put a high level gem in it, and it fucked up the minimum level. And when he pulled it out, like he put in like the royal skull gem into a ring
permanently and higher level.
Yes, it raised it to 60, I think.
Oh,
yeah, which is the minimum level for the gem. So that's good, just in case you guys were gonna do that. But
okay, good to know.
Yeah, so yeah, you have to use gem or level specific gems in your leveling gear, which is also kind of weird. But okay, now that there's trading, because honestly, like for me, a lot of the PoE, why do I keep playing after my character is kind of juiced, is trading, because like, you know, you're grinding to either A, make a new character, or B, just like burn a bunch of currency like at the hoarder crafting station, or craft something cool. But like, it's like if you're grinding for grinding's sake, there was less replayability. But if there actually is legitimately like people trading, then that's
not to derail this into something else, but when it comes to itemization, I think Diablo 4 is cool. It just cuts off earlier than PoE, right? Like if you think about PoE, you're never going to have all mirror tiered items. Or an average player is not going to have perfect items ever, right? It can't happen. In this game, it can actually happen, and it happens earlier. Maybe you're off like a few, like maybe your CDR is 13.9 instead of 14.6 on your AMI or something, right? But it's like, it's pretty much there. In PoE, the difference between somebody with mirror tier gear and somebody with like normal gear is like ×5 or something, right? So it's like that gap, you don't have as much, like your upgrades don't matter as much anymore at a certain point. But I'll still say up to level 100, I still found upgrades and upgrades and upgrades, right? Like people always say, oh, at level 75, you already find your endgame gear. It was not the experience for me. I was geared out somewhere around 99, 100, and still then I traded for 2 or 3 items, right? So it's like, it's not as bad as people make it out to be, but it's obviously no PoE. But like, yeah.
The affix pool, I think, is the problem. Everything is just, it's weirdly complex while simultaneously really simple, and everything is conditional. So close enemies, far enemies, vulnerable. Yeah.
When you say that, did you guys watch the Vodijo video about like re-rolling gloves?
It's like you put it on a barb, so it's fewer mods.
No. Oh, you mean no? That's an exploit, whatever. But like, no. If you re-roll on gloves, you always either get attack speed or crit if you don't have it, and if you have either or, you get the other one. At least one of the choices. of the two. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
But
Is
yeah,
that intended?
I don't know, but
Yeah,
we don't know any
yeah.
weightings in this game, right? Like,
Yeah.
I noticed that I almost never see +3 and Venom on my Druid. And that might just be me being unlucky or something, but there's
Mhm.
definitely mods that show up way more often than
Yes.
others.
Kind of on a tangentially similar note, I don't know whether you all have had this experience, but it certainly feels like I have. I have found an unbelievable amount of either min or max rolled items. Like I feel like I almost
Yeah.
never hit an
So-
item that's
yeah,
in the
yeah,
middle.
yeah.
There's
So
something weird.
It
going on.
rolls
why?
like 1 through 5 and then multiplies it. That's all it does.
yeah.
So
Okay.
strange.
It's like a step function, I think.
Oh, is it 1 to 5? Really? I thought that was like different, like different from item to item. But there's definitely breaking points. So
Yeah.
if something rolls from 50 to 100, it's definitely not 50 rolls. It's like you say 5.
I heard it was just 5. It was like a step function of just
Okay.
5. Might be 10,
Okay.
but yeah, it's a very small number, so it's not
I think
actually.
it's
and maybe
fine.
that's just
Yeah.
like, and it's possible that's just coming from PoE where like every single
Without
full
divine
value
orbs, you
in the
kind of
middle-
need it, right? Otherwise, you
Sure,
literally
sure.
never
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Unless you want to just have mirror tier items to shoot for.
I would
Yeah,
love if this
right.
game had divine orbs. Like this game kind of
It
feels
needs
like
it.
it needs some
Needs it.
currencies that are super rare. Like
Yeah.
the feeling in PoE where you drop a divine orb, or I mean you never drop a mirror, but there's a chance you drop a mirror, right? Like that, having that in mind, I always miss that in other ARPGs because almost no other ARPG ever does that.
I think you're touching on something really important, which is the loot variety in D4 is nil, right? It's like everything is based around the items you drop, like the gear you drop. But PoE has such a huge amount of loot that drops that, like you said, pal, like you drop a divine and you're like, oh, sick, like that's like cool, like you
sick,
can see
yeah.
it coming. But like there's also you do, and like while you're leveling up and gearing up very early, you are kind of like checking like maybe like jewelry that drops on the ground and stuff like that. Like there's a huge amount of loot variety every single step of the way. And obviously you go into like league specific things and it dives even further. But in D4, it's like the materials that you auto pick, if you don't even register that as loot.
Yeah.
But the only loot is gear.
But
and the whole thing
on
is
the
based
flip
on
side,
gear.
right? Like you have to wait as well. Like what Diablo 4 does well is I'm actually hyped about rare gear. If I find a
Sure.
rare amulet, just a rare ancestral amulet, I'm like, this is a potential upgrade. Like rolling
Totally.
Yeah.
for me at least, amulet is the hardest slot to upgrade, in my opinion. So it's like that's pretty hype. Even rings are very generic. You have 2 of them, so there's a good chance you get an upgrade, right? There's like vuln damage main stat. Oh, that's pretty good. But it's like I'm actually hyped about rare gear in Diablo 4, at least to a certain point, right? And
Totally.
at that point, you're like, okay, maybe I should reroll or whatever. But that took me like 100 hours or like 120 hours. Maybe on my next run, it's gonna take me less or whatever. But that PoE doesn't have that, right? Other than like some niche, I don't know, fucking Alva items or whatever. I've never had that feeling in PoE where I'm hyped about gear.
Yep.
Uniques,
So-
like specific uniques that drop, right? But like beyond that, yeah, I agree with you, right? Like obviously if you drop like at any point you drop like I don't know, like an Aegis or something, you're kind of like, oh, nice. But yeah, like rare gear totally does not exist.
Like even legendaries in this game, right? It's like in PoE, 99% you either filter it out or it's completely useless and you know it, right? And and in D4, there's a lot of legendary aspects that are very generic, where if you have a good roll, you will want it. And even if you have it once, you know you should probably still pick it up because you might upgrade and then more upgrade down the road, so you would probably need 2, right? So it's like there's so much gear that you want to have, which also sucks because the stash tab is so small, right? Like for me,
God.
it's like a nightmare for me. But it's like, yeah,
Yes.
I like that about D4 actually. You can definitely improve upon stuff, but I wish PoE had that as well, where I would pick up a rare item and I'm like, dude, this could be.
Yeah.
The stash thing, just because you touched on it, is like a disaster. It's an actual disaster. I do not understand the logic behind 4 stash tabs at all. The only thing, and it's like you don't want this to be true, and
They're gonna
yeah,
monetize
you don't want
of
it to be
course.
true, but like,
We all know.
God, I would.
It's
God,
gonna be
so
it's gonna be the good old like oh wait, 4 stash types were not in. Oh, that's our bad. Okay, we're going to listen to the guys. We're gonna listen to the community, and you know what we're gonna do? It will take some time, but all right. Here's stash tabs in the shop, and that's
I
gonna
feel
be the
so
end of it,
heard.
right? It's like
Thank you, Daddy.
that's what's gonna
Blizzard.
happen. Of course,
Yeah.
they listened. It's crazy. Who would have known? 4 stash tabs isn't enough. Who would have known? People want a search function, right? Who would have thought?
Yeah, honestly, this
Oh, they know. They're
stash
not
in the-
stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, they also just like totally didn't mention that at all, right? And like the campfire thing is brought up a million times.
Yeah. Harping on what Sub just said is a really good transition. It's like they're not stupid. It's like most of the things that we criticize as PvE players are things they did intentionally, right? Like we're making
Sure.
it out to be like, oh my god, I can't believe how they didn't know. It's like no, they want it that way because like
Mhm.
we're 0.1% of a Diablo 4 audience, right? So it makes no sense for them. Like if their game was really good for us, it would be not as big of a success for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it makes sense.
On the same note, I have to imagine a number of the things that they just couldn't fit everything in before launch. Just they had a pretty hard deadline based on the, I'm sure they've been planning for this day for internally for a long time. I have to imagine some of the stuff they were just like, we just can't fit it in before launch. And they do want it, but I think generally speaking, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we heard how slow moving they are with like.
Yeah.
It's not until like they can't fix the gems. They can't
know,
fix
that's
that
crazy.
until season 2. Are you kidding me?
Resistances? How about
Resistance?
resistances?
Resistance
You
is
can't
the
fix
funniest
resist.
thing.
Like what I would do to like as like a temporary hotfix would be like double it on gear. Just double resist on gear.
Dude, that won't fix it. It needs to be like
That
times
doesn't fix it,
20.
yeah.
And I know it has to like 10x
Yeah.
at the minimum
Yeah.
to be worth it.
But why don't they just do it like D2 and PoE? It makes sense, but I don't know.
Or just take
It's like the thing is, you if this was like a tiny company with a game that just kind of blew up, you excuse all of this, right? You're just like, okay, like things kind of got exposed in terms of like issues that they didn't necessarily have like they expect to come up, and they
I mean, they're just
they've got, like,
slow-moving,
3
right?
people working on it.
They're
yeah,
huge.
but it's like they're literally the biggest game company in the world. How does it
Well-
take 4 months to fix gems? At
they're
least,
slow moving. They're slow. Have you ever worked in a big
Yeah.
company? Like
yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
yeah,
Actually,
like that's
But still,
Subtractem have.
yeah, like it's,
Have
it's
you?
like if you that's why like every time someone said, "Oh, it's just the beta, don't worry, it'll change by the beta like after the beta." Like they worked on the game for 13 years and then they said, "Here's the beta test. We're basically just making sure the game isn't going to fall over, but the game's done." And like okay, and the game's coming out in a month, in 4 weeks. Like you cannot go from the beta and then 4 weeks later and have anything noticeably different besides like some number
Totally,
tweaks or
yeah.
something. Like
Mhm.
13 years of momentum with thousands of people working on it. Like that's just the way that things work. Think of software as like especially a video game like this. Think of it like a gigantic fucking like cruise ship. And it's like to turn anything is really, really hard. Like the code base is millions of lines of code. And you can very easily touch like one or two thing and just break everything. So like, okay, well we need to like we want to change like they can't even change like your hairstyle, right? Like they push back so hard on like, yeah, I know you would love to be able to change the color of your hair, but we just can't do that yet. That'll be like season 2. And like that there's probably some like hard coded shit that like if your hair color is not what it expects when you go into a tier 50 plus nightmare dungeon, then it deletes all of your loot and it deletes your Battle.net account, right? Like there's just crazy shit when it comes to like a 30-year-old company and a game being worked on this long. It's just the way it goes.
No, I'm well aware it's like easy for me to like sit here and be like, why aren't gems in the material thing? And like, like I have no control over the situation, but yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it's
but-
so cool that they already did like. I mean, I thought they would just take softball questions in their fireside, but they actually answered some questions that I had as well, which is very
Sure.
unusual. So I was very surprised about that. And they have their next talk at the start of July. They said, right, so they're gonna be.
Preseason
I think that it's for Blizzard. It's like if something is a cash cow to such an extent, they're actually gonna put in resources and time, and they're gonna do it more frequent. Like even the hot fixes, right? They were down really fast, and obviously they weren't really in our favor, right? A lot of the dungeons got nerfed and whatnot, but that's still an upside, right? Like that's cool. Like
Yeah, they're
for
willing to
example, when
make moves.
Hearthstone, yeah, when Hearthstone popped off, I remember it was like they were literally like pumping out like sets every 3 months and like updating people patch every week. That's crazy, right? That's not what I think about when I think about Blizzard. So I think the same thing's gonna happen with D4.
On the same
Yeah.
note, though, the Hearthstone example, they also were like notoriously slow to like fix certain things. Like I don't know if you guys played Hearthstone, but like Undertaker, when Undertaker came out, it was like that deck was so oppressive for so long. Is total side tangent, but so
Yeah,
oppressive for so long that I'm
for-
kind of like that is how I associate it. It's like being like very slow. So to your point, pal, I agree that it's like
I guess yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. And that maybe also came later a little bit more, but yeah.
that's a
True.
recent. That's
Powered
what-
Warrior, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
I
Yeah.
mean, 4 years of goats in Overwatch, right? Like,
Dude.
it is literally the most degenerate, stale, awful meta for years, and they had
Is that the
hundreds of
PvE game?
yeah. Oh yeah. Overwatch 2. It's a PvE game. Although you have to
Yeah.
pay for it now, even though it's a free to play game.
Never fought
Um,
another player in Overwatch.
It's interesting, right? Like, we do have to remember that at the end of the day, this is still Blizzard, right? This is the same company that, Diablo 4 is launching. I think, I'm impressed. I am impressed at the state that it launched in. I was,
too.
especially after the beta, I was expecting so much worse. I'm having a ton of fun right now playing with my friends. Making the same build as literally everybody else because there's no choices. And but like, this is the same company that at the exact same time right now they are doing what they're doing with Overwatch 2, and they just released an ultimate battle pass that allows you to pay extra to actually unlock the PvE mechanics that are actually just recycled missions from Overwatch 1. Like, same company's doing the same stuff at the same time. So we do have to remember that, like, if they see it enough of a cash cow, like, hey, we did fork off of the Diablo Immortal code base. There's a couple features we could bring over from there. I know we got gems dropping on the ground right now, but imagine if you could buy those gems from a store.
I mean, I don't want to be too like negative, but like I said this before Diablo 4 released, I'll say it again. I think there's zero chance that Diablo 4, with how much success it had, they're not going to introduce something like a Diablo token or something for gold. Like, I don't see a world, and everybody says like, no, there's no way, and I'm just like, what are you not like? What's going on? It's like WoW was also this ethical game, right? Like, where it just happened and nobody really complained because people already did it, third party and whatnot. It's like, I don't understand how people think that's such a radical take. Like, I just don't see how that's not gonna happen. That's, I don't know.
For me, it's more just hoping it doesn't happen, but I tend to agree. Yeah, because I mean, like, WoW, they introduced the gold token to combat real money gold buying that was happening, quote, like, against their TOS, right? So this is, I would assume, I don't know this for a fact, but I would assume there's like some stuff going on there with D4, but that would
like, it's gonna be their
quote,
new
need for this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's their
GSP's
new
already trading and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So
like,
there you go.
it's gonna be their new number one cash cow. So of course, I don't know about WoW like versus D4, but I can't imagine Diablo 4 is not gonna be their main cash cow going forward. Like, maybe I'm wrong.
Honestly, though, in terms of levels of pay to win, buying gold to me bothers me less than stuff like gating quality of life. Like,
you'll think less about that. Like, you're going to, I think, flip flop on that opinion once you start trading GG items.
That might
and
be.
once people understand how much their gold is worth, I think you're 100% going to flip flop on that opinion. Because I decked out my character with 100 mil gold. Right. And I'm talking almost perfect rolls. It's the way I got, and the reason I got to that is because almost nobody trades, and I just look for like 2 to 3 days. It's like,
that's a fair point, because like I went into this not even knowing that the trading was active, so that's a very fair point.
What's the link for the trading? Is it a Reddit? Not a Reddit.
Just look up Diablo,
Discord?
Diablo 4 Sanctuary Discord.
Yeah, there's different Discords. You can also do it on the I think that's the official Discord even, isn't it?
Is it the official one? Yeah, it looks official-ish.
Yeah,
but
maybe
it's
not.
hard to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sanctuary Diablo 4 community. I mean, it has the official icon on it, so.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, and people just trade in there.
Yeah, like once you reach level 100 and you have gear slots that aren't perfect, which you're gonna have quite a bit, you just start farming gold and you buy it, and you put your GG legendary aspect on, and donezo.
There, I posted a link to it.
Yeah, it has. The URL's even Diablo 4. So
okay,
that feels pretty legit. I guess bouncing back to something that we touched on a little bit earlier was understanding the patch. So I agreed the time frame from D4 launch to patch hot fixes along the way has been good. Like they're clearly like on top of it timeline wise. But I guess I would ask you guys, what do you think about like sort of the approach they've had in terms of the content of those patches? You know, obviously there's like the density changes. There are maybe arguably more or less notably, the actual build changes, because it's like for obviously for content, you know, PoE never, unless there's an extreme outlier, you don't get nerfed in the middle of a league. This is obviously not really the same because this isn't technically a league. This is kind of like hey, you guys get to taste the game before we actually enter into seasons. But I was curious your guys' take on that piece, because obviously when these things happen, there's a lot of people were pretty upset. Like I've been playing this build and now it's been lost like 25% of its damage or whatever. So
I think content changes are fine, like dungeons and stuff. It's obviously annoying, but it's like, okay, I'll move on to the next thing, or now I have to find new stuff. But build stuff for me is just really bad because it makes it feel bad to commit. Like if you find something that's good and you're like, oh, this might be nerfed, it's like, why would I commit to that, right? Like gear is different for builds, and if you go all in and your build gets nerfed, it's like, okay, so now I have to reroll or farm new gear set, I guess. And now I have to farm the new gear set with my nerfed build. So it's like, okay, now I can't do Nightmare 70s anymore. Now I have to do Nightmare 50s to farm it. Like whatever it is. But I think content is fine. Gear stuff, like build stuff isn't. Unless it's like really an outlier, right? I don't know.
Especially in the middle of a race. But how significant were the nerfs? Was it like these builds are overperforming by 200%, we're going to dial it back by 50%, and it's still going to be excellent? Or were the nerfs like build destroying? Or
Well,
is
yeah,
that
it's a variety.
irrelevant?
Well,
It's a
Barb,
variety. I mean,
Whirlwind.
Yeah, I was saying for
okay.
Barb, it wasn't even like it was damage, but it was also just feel, like play time, play feel.
Okay.
Like they basically I think one of the big nerfs that they did to Barb was there's a legendary affix that it reduces the cooldown of your shouts depending on the number of enemies that are nearby, and they chopped it in half. So now you have like periods of time where you don't have your shouts, which are purely resource generate, like they're like your main source of resource generation, and now you have to use a generator hitting there for like an extra 4 seconds to like wind up enough fury to whirlwind or do any barb skill for that matter. So it's kind of a variety situation.
Then again, once again, I think we have to be careful of our PoE brain. In PoE, resources don't exist. Mana is not a thing,
totally,
right?
Totally.
So
It's
they wanna, they're like Last Epoch. I had the same reaction to Last Epoch where I was like, oh, mana sucks in Last Epoch. Wait, no, they're doing it right. It's like mana is a resource. It's not just meant to be reserved and then be on 10 mana and your main skill costs 9 and it's like, right? It's like, and just spam it. No, this is how it's supposed to be. Like resource is a balancing tool. So use it. I think that's fine, honestly. I think we just got PoE brain sickness when it comes to resources. I don't know.
Yeah, I prefer PoE's style anyway.
Yeah, I do too, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, it matters. It's just like, how many auras do I have? How many can I squeeze in?
Yeah. Like they could rename mana to reservation capacity, and it's like
make all skills
99% of builds the same. Yeah. Mana pots, right? Like mana pots should not exist. That's a good thing. I think that's great. That should not be a thing. You can't balance.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's I just generally speaking, I tend to agree that it's just like season or no season, it just feels bad to get nerfed mid. Like after having spent X number of hours.
I'm glad I didn't start
I had that
Arclash,
happen on my first build. Yeah, Arclash. My first build, like it got nerfed by half. It was like, okay, my lucky hit chance, which procs everything, is now half. Nice. That's great. Let me reroll and play ice shards like everybody else does, right? It's like the problem is also when they nerf stuff like they do in this game, and this might be wrong, just the way I felt about it. All that happens is, okay, it swaps to the next skill, because you don't, like, it's not very broad, right? It's not like all of a sudden there's going to be 3-4 skills that are viable. It's like, no, Barb went from Whirlwind to Hoda. That's all that happened. It's still really, really strong, maybe a tiny bit less strong. And sure, there was some exploits, which I think are fine to fix, right? The gloves and everything. And yeah, certain rent, was it rent? I think. Fine. But if you think about, like, Sork, Arclash, okay, next best, Ice Shards. They nerf Ice Shards, okay, everybody plays Flame Wall. It's like, I just don't know how this is.
Same approach with the dungeons, right? Like they nerfed the best dungeon, Champions Demise, whatever it was. And then you go to the next one. Okay, then this one. Then they nerf that one. It's like,
to be fair, Champions was just out there.
Totally. It's just, but it's the same concept, right? Like people are
sure.
just bouncing to the next best thing, which I think is just natural. But okay, let me just take a look here. What did we not cover? Renown. They kind of backtracked a little bit on the Renown situation, right? They talked about that, where they're, a lot of it's going to end up carrying over from the standard, which is cool. Yeah,
it's just such a weird thing to have in a seasonal ARPG. It feels like a permanent system, like something you'd have in an MMO, but it doesn't work in seasonal ARPGs, right? So the way that they're changing it now that also Liliths of what the fuck is it called? Altar of Lilith is permanent, right? So if I find all of them now, I'll go into season 1 with like 200 all stats. Is that right?
That was always the case. I think it was
it
was the Renown
I don't know
that you
how
get.
many it is.
Yeah, whatever it is. It's like the
40?
Renown that you get from clicking the Altar of Lilith also now carries over. Before it was you'd still have to click the altars to get the Renown, but now it's going to auto fill in that Renown for you. That's my understanding. And maybe correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
all right. Okay, but we're still going to have to do side dungeons and side quests and stuff.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And strongholds, which I think are pretty cool and underutilized.
Yeah, I like those.
I like strongholds. Yeah.
Strongholds are fun.
It's just a little, it's kind of I'm the comparison, and we keep doing this, but like the comparison is like the PoE mapping system, right? Like it's like a completionism thing to some degree. I mean, like let me backtrack that. It's like you have to complete them to progress to some degree. Like it is like a clear form of power that you're gaining, but it feels side to the rest of the game. Like the side quests are so unrewarding, and like the only thing they give you is Renown. Like there's no double dipping in terms of wins there.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like that's the kind of thing they're going to tweak over a couple of years. Like I said, the foundation feels quite solid. There's definitely some problems, but if they are going to address these sorts of issues, hopefully in a year or two, it's a lot cleaner. So it's not bugging me that too much. There were a lot of Twitter posts, dude, that I just cringed. Like people complaining about shit, and these people have been playing like 20 hours a day for a week, and they're like, how is this shit not being fixed? And I'm like, I do not know what you're talking about. Like I've been playing a lot, or what feels like a lot for someone with a job, and you're complaining like, oh, there's no end game content, but you've played like 200 hours in a week. So I think people just need to be a little bit patient. I'm not trying to give Blizzard too much slack, but like give it some time. It's been like 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
I think you should give them slack. It's like we're just used to like different stuff. It makes no sense to just compare everything to PoE, right?
Yeah. I was going to give it the other flip side though, is that despite like 200 hours, it's like people have been going like ham, and then I've seen a lot of those posts too. But I on the same note, it's like everybody will hit that point.
Okay, so you're saying they're kind of preemptively being like, get this shit
first
fixed
ones
before people
there.
get there. Right. Okay. All right. That's fair enough. But I don't know. Someone was self-critical, like Omega lol. This is a broken game. Literally doesn't work. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's pretty extreme. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's the tribalism, right? Of everyone just. I mean, that's the weird thing coming from PoE is. PoE is such a niche, super niche, like insular community that looks a lot of people, like even within PoE, they look down on other PoE things like so much, right?
Yes.
And definitely seen that carry over. Not a lot, but I've banned probably like at least half a dozen people from chat that are just like random people that maybe I saw in chat once or twice over the past year, and then they come in just like, can't believe you're playing this garbage game. I'm just like, fuck
Cringe.
you. All right, get banned. Like, I'm having fun.
Like,
it's a chill game, right? Like, it's
like,
not a bad game, right?
Yeah, no.
I started even banning people who just come in and say this game's fucking trash. It's like, I just don't understand like why you come in and just wanna like. There's obviously people in here who enjoy the game or want to try out the game, and it's like I just don't understand what that's about. I guess it's like they're venting or something, but it's like PoE players are some of the worst when it comes to shit like that. When you play a different game, like, do you guys remember the Rise Nuki stuff when they played Lost Ark?
Yeah, they
And
got
like, people
so
called
much
them
shit.
traitors and stuff like that. Like, you're
Yes.
just so lost. Holy shit.
Fucking, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, and then they came back and people still gave them shit for it. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
It's a good tool
It's-
to sort out your community a little bit, though. I will
Yeah,
say that.
it is.
Because it's
played
weird.
before.
Whenever I click on people like that, right? I click on their like chat history. It's
Never
never
subbed.
normal.
Yeah.
Never. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
I guess in terms of, unless I've missed something here, generally speaking, what are your expectations for season 1? Obviously, they talked about a couple things like more small things that are being fixed, but do you reckon, I mean, I guess, what is the scale of season 1, do we figure? You know, is it going to be PoE style leagues? Is it going to be, I mean, this is their first season, so maybe it's going to be even more than that. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts, their expectations?
World Tier 5, 100%.
You think in season
That's
1?
definitely. Yeah, I think
gems.
so.
They already
One
been
more,
dead
one more
on
tier
it,
of
no?
gems, one
Yeah.
or two.
But I hope there's going to be some mechanic. I'm guessing it's going to be something like Helltide, but different, and then maybe a pinnacle boss. I'm hoping that I really am hoping that they're looking at the scope and scale of PoE leagues and are like, okay, guys, we need to compete with that, and they're not going to be like 2x loot goblins, because I think people's expectations have changed over the years. So
I don't think that's ever gonna happen in D4.
yeah, I don't think so. I'm pretty hopeful for it. Add a big balance pass, right?
Would you guys feel that a multi-person dungeon, like a dungeon that requires multiple people to do it, or a raid, however you want to phrase it, would be, I mean, is that a season 1 mechanic? Is that something you would enjoy?
I think it would be. I think this game has good multiplayer, so I think it is. Yeah, it wouldn't be something I love because I don't love MMO stuff all that much.
Right.
But yeah, I think it would fit perfectly. Raids would fit perfectly.
I think so. I would love that idea. I've never been into MMOs, but just from the tiny little bits of kind of casual socialization I've found in this game, I would love to do a world boss style grouping, but as a dungeon. I'd be into that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely plays into what Subtractem was saying earlier, right? With it's just, this is a game to be played with friends, and doing something that literally requires your friends, theoretically, is it could be cool. Be cool.
And I
On the
like
same
the
note, though, I
idea.
don't.
Keep
Sorry,
it
go
small too. Like, I would love it, but I would keep it small. Like,
Yeah,
definitely
Yeah,
have
yeah.
like 4-man versions of it, and
Yeah.
like maybe 8-person. That could be okay, but yeah, 8-person you're not
Agreed.
gonna. 4-person you could just get a group of friends usually, or maybe like pug 1-person. But 8-person is where it gets like kind of dicey. But yeah, I think just like, yeah, a good LFG, and and make the mechanics not too hard, right? Like, the main thing that makes it obnoxious, right? I hear my friend doing Lost Ark raids all the time in Discord. And he's just like, this fucking guy didn't look up the handbook, and he didn't study. He didn't know that when the star turns blue, that you actually have to jump over 3 barrels after the clown does his big mace attack, and then you jump off the side. You hang over it for exactly 3.5 seconds, and then you climb back up, and then it's DPS phase. Like that's how complex that shit is in Lost Ark. It's insane. It's like impressively insane. But obviously that would just not work in an ARPG, especially if you want to like pug things and all that. I think how easy they have it with the world bosses right now should probably be about as hard as it, maybe a little bit harder. And then I guess you could ramp up the difficulty, but if you did that, the loot would have to be like not exclusive to that version of the content, right? So it'd have to be accessible to all players that are not, gonna sit there and study it like that. But yeah, I think it's just like this game so naturally works for a social experience that in fact, I think that is its strong suit is, and what actually differentiates it, because it's not the builds. I do think the itemization is okay, but it's not amazing. Definitely not definitely not like the overall user experience and smoothness of everything in the game. But yeah, just the fact that you can play with your friends and just like keep beefing it up, beef up Helltides, make Nightmare Dungeons a bit more interesting, a lot more interesting. And yeah, I think there's a lot of potential here.
Yeah, I think that's a good bookend right there.
That was perfect.
Is there any before we, I guess, transition out? Is there anything that we did not cover that you guys want to talk about?
PoE 2 teaser trailers. Was everyone extremely excited? I mean, we talk about Diablo 4 at the end of all of our PoE things.
Yeah, we're
right?
flipping it. We're flipping it.
Look great.
I mean, it looks.
Looks
I mean, visually look
fucking
amazing.
awesome.
Music great. Everything great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
the atmosphere is incredible.
I hope it pops off. I want that game to absolutely kill it.
Me too.
It is. It's
Yep.
going to. Mark
You're
my
going to
words.
ExileCon, right, Sub?
I will be there. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
I'm
Lucky
on the
fish.
schedule. It'll be a good time.
Ah, are you doing
Oh,
any
in
panel
an
stuff?
official capacity? Yeah. So I'm
Oh,
potentially
hell yeah.
interviewing GGG for a thing. I'm not gonna say yet. We don't know 100% yet what for, but yeah, I should be on the stage for an interview, and then I'll be part of the meet and greet stuff too.
That's
Oh,
sick.
excellent. How are you feeling? Are you excited, or is that a bit scary?
I'm very excited. Yeah, it's gonna be
Okay.
it's gonna be badass. And then yeah, I really want PoE 2 to like absolutely blow up.
It's gonna. It's
Totally.
gonna.
Really want it to blow up. So
Speculations for release date.
The
Christmas.
8th of July. No, August 2023.
oh, you think it's gonna
Oh
be
god, that's such cope.
I am
Holy
coping
shit.
so
you
hard,
think it's
but
gonna be
I'm.
the next league? I mean, I wouldn't
I'm
put it
calling
past
it.
them if they want to go absolutely nuts, because they're
They're
ramping
sweating
up.
right now. After
Yeah,
D4.
yeah, because like they're ramping it up a lot, and when they dropped the 10x, right, like that came out of nowhere, and so like they've been known to kind of hit us with a big surprise. But I would guess Christmas as well.
Yeah, I mean realistically Christmas, but my gut is telling me it's coming. It's like August, but it's probably not going to be.
I thought I could have sworn I saw something on maybe was it the Reddit? No, it couldn't have been. Somewhere basically along the lines of 3.22. It made a clear line in the sand between 3.22 and PoE 2. I don't know. It could be wrong. I'll let you.
Well,
no,
they said that-
it could be wrong.
They said that 3.22 is going to be awesome or something, blah, blah, blah. But we don't know anything about it. Like, they could literally just come out and say, JK,
Yeah, totally.
release, right?
Yeah, because they're
3.20
like
PoE 2.
yeah. And they said, people who are attending on ExileCon are really they're really gonna want to go home as soon as possible afterwards. So organize your holidaying before, not after.
Yeah.
I've got my PTO lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they would say that for a normal league, right? That is definitely a good point, right?
It's suspicious as hell. It's super suspicious.
Oh, I hope so.
That's true.
So whatever the league or PoE 2, whatever it is, I think the likely launch date is what, like August 11th, most likely. Is that maybe the week before? One of those two. So the August, September, October, November. Yeah, I mean, if they did another 4-month league, that could be a December timeframe.
Start of December, yeah.
So,
Could see that.
That could be possible. It's good.
Oh my
We'll
god,
see.
if it's like Crucible 2 though.
Oh, no.
Oh my god, I can't. Like, I've had a couple people come and chat like, "Hey, when are you going back to PoE? Don't you miss PoE?" And I'm like, "I love PoE, man. I love that game, but I'm loving playing a different game. Diablo 4 is great. It's a fun game. It's nice. It's very relaxing compared to PoE.
Totally.
Especially after crafting. Like, oh god, crafting this league. Oh my god. Oh,
The worst.
literally the worst crafting we've ever had." And
Yep.
yeah, just like taking a break from it, like a clean cut, like a clean break, and then the next time I play PoE, if that's PoE 2, oh my god, that would just be perfect. Actually, I need that.
Be
After
fun.
Crucible, man.
Well, I'll have what you guys are having, but yeah, I'm thinking December.
Yeah. That's more realistic.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else?
Okay.
Are we good?
I'm good.
I
think we're good.
Sweet.
Sounds good.
This was great. It's cool to mix it up a little bit from just the PoE stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hoping season 1. I really, really hope it's I think being able to have the cadence of playing of multiple games and all that is really nice. I think it opens up, especially on the content creation side for everybody, and I think even for the spectator as well, just like little bit of variety, different, seeing different sides of things, and just, people being excited about doing other things is just good for the community as a whole. And, competition for PoE and all that is also really good.
I mean, just talking about like from a content creator perspective, Diablo 4, if it is timed correctly with PoE, it is a godsend. It's like
Dude.
usually, like in terms of money, it's like okay, the week before PoE releases,
Yeah.
crazy. First month, really good. Then it's like mid, and then depending on whether there's a fourth month, right? You might have 2 months where you earn really shit, right? It's really garbage. And if Diablo 4 would fill that gap, which is obviously not going to happen perfectly, but that would be crazy, right? It's like a game people actually like. Twitch Lite is fun and all, Last Epoch is fun and all, but nobody like clicks on these videos, right? Nobody watches really those streams all that much. Diablo 4 is actually hype, right? So yeah,
So true.
Yeah.
that'd be
It's
crazy.
so true. And then you get a league like this one where it's like it died halfway through May.
Dude,
Yeah.
it would be perfect. It would be perfect.
Yeah, it'll be amazing. We'll see.
Time to quit. Check this. All right, PoE 2 drops. You have to quit your job. I almost said.
Don't roll me into this.
You have to. That's the deal. We go
Okay, only if you
immediately.
promise to help support me.
Yeah, I won't.
Damn. Almost had him.
Subtractem.
You're asking the wrong person.
Damn it! I tried with train wrecks, man. I was this close.
Yeah, I saw you tweeted
Fuck,
at Train
man.
Wrecks.
Almost
I
got your
figured, like,
deal.
if there was like a 0.01% chance, he was like, "I'll do it for the memes." I was like, I might as well try.
Yeah,
It didn't
I mean
work.
that man, the little pressure that Kick put on Twitch, and then they're half-ass like. Anyway, like half-asses. The whole like Twitch Kick stuff is so weird, and I feel so weird about it. And I hope it all gets better, for us, because it's a gross space right now for how much control the platforms have and what they're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I say it all the time.
Cool.
Like you get those random people that are like the really kind souls that are like, all right, here's 50 gifted subs, and I'm like, thank you so much, I appreciate it. You just spent $250. I'll have like $100 of those dollars after taxes, max.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it, but yeah, I'm not going to Kick. Like there's no world, but just putting them putting pressure on Twitch is just good.
Cool.
All right. Anyway.
All right.
Well, alrighty. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks for doing this, guys. This was fun.
I always
Cool.
have a good one.
Yeah. All right.
All
Yeah.
right,
yeah.
Have a good one, guys. I'll be here for a little bit. People want to stick around. All right.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.